Are you serious? Oh. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. The new Spider-Man deal done, but it says Spider-Man movie coming? Shit. Let's check this out. I didn't expect them to make another movie with them. Let's see.
What's going on, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU. And Spider-Man No Way Home crushed it at the box office, and it continues to crush it at the box office, which is incredibly good news for us because that means they're going to make more Spider-Man movies. And not just with one Spider-Man, but now with multiple different Spider-Man, hopefully. At this point in time, I assume most people have seen Spider-Man No Way Home, or at least have seen pictures or leaks from it, and they know about Spider-Man No Way Home, but here's your last spoiler warning. Spider-Man No Way Home had 3 Spider-Men together in it. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man joined Tom Holland. And now, rumors are starting to go around that the massive success of Spider-Man No Way Home is going to start to produce more Spider-Man films, like an Amazing Spider-Man 3 for Andrew Garfield, the introduction of Miles Morales, and a Spider-Man movie that has the 3 Spider-Men, Andrew, Tobey, and Tom, in it from the very beginning of the film, which would be something that would just be a massive and fantastic movie. And although these are just rumors for right now, a lot of these actually do make sense coming from a studio standpoint, a fan base standpoint, and simply a movie standpoint. So let's break down what we could possibly get as far as Spider-Man movies coming in the future and talk about a new deal that Tom Holland might be getting with Sony and Marvel right now. Of course, if you're new, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU and Spider-Man news. So first off, many of you might have heard a rumor about Tom Holland possibly getting the deal of a lifetime from Sony and Marvel. We don't know much about this because it hasn't been confirmed in any way, but it simply makes sense, and this seems to happen after almost every big actor in the Marvel Universe finishes a film trilogy or a couple of films or a big team-up movie. For example, when the MCU started, Robert Downey Jr. got paid $500,000 for the very first Iron Man film. But by the end, he got paid around $75 million for Avengers Endgame. So yeah, this happens quite frequently as actors get bigger and more popular and their characters in the Marvel Universe become more prominent and important. New contracts happen. Now, disclaimer, this is something that is good news. This isn't a new negotiation between Sony and Marvel on whether or not to keep Spider-Man in the MCU. Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal of Sony have already come out and said they are working on the next MCU Spider-Man franchise with Tom Holland. He's staying in the MCU. There's no new negotiations on that front. Everything's fine. So this new deal seems to be simply about money and how many films he's going to appear in. Now, I would assume he would get another trilogy plus a couple of team-up movies because I would actually guess that he would go on to be a big part of the new Avengers team. Despite everybody having forgot who Peter Parker was, they do still know who Spider-Man is. And let's be honest, if Doctor Strange could do a spell to make everybody forget, he could probably do a spell to make certain people remember. So I'm not really too worried about that. But the rumor right now says deal of a lifetime, so I'm assuming that it's a lot of money. And that just makes perfect sense because right now he is the most popular superhero in the world. Spider-Man No Way Home is one of the biggest movies of all time right now in the box office, and we're in a pandemic, so that's pretty powerful. Plus, not to mention, Spider-Man alone, just simply from the comics and cartoons and rides and such, is one of the most popular superheroes in the world already. So I'm thinking Tom is walking out with a pretty good deal here. And like I said, I'm thinking another trilogy and a couple of team-up movies. Now here's where things start to get really exciting. Now again, only rumblings of a rumor right now, but it seems like there could be a chance that we could get a movie with the 3 Spider-Men again, but everybody is in the film from start to finish. So a whole movie with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. And I'm assuming they would call this movie Spider-Men. And this movie does have the potential, if it does get made, to be bigger than No Way Home. Essentially, No Way Home would be kind of like an Infinity War, and then this Spider-Man movie would be the true endgame. Which, hey, I'm all here for it. I love Spider-Man. I think everybody loves Spider-Man in some way, shape, or form. And it sounds like there is just a lot going on right now, not with just our Spider-Man, but with multiple Spider-Men. A lot of people by now have heard talks that everybody really wants the Amazing Spider-Man 3 to happen. Andrew Garfield is even going on massive talk shows, and the hosts are asking him about what he thinks about all of these fans wanting the Amazing Spider-Man 3. In which he seemingly replied, "Where the F were all you people people in 2014. Now, obviously, he says this in a joking manner, but it's also in a serious matter at the same time. Now, regardless of what happened in 2014, Andrew Garfield got redemption in Spider-Man No Way Home. And now there's a lot of talk about The Amazing Spider-Man 3, and with the way the post-credit scene for Spider-Man No Way Home set everything up, it does seem like there is going to be a Spider-Man in the Sony verse where Venom and Morbius exist, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be Tom Holland. And like I've mentioned in other videos, Tom Hardy said that he wants Venom 3 to be a Venom vs. Spider-Man film. And if that happens, it's looking like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is going to be the one we see face off against Tom Hardy's Venom, because Tom Holland is going to be dealing with a completely different Venom symbiote in the MCU.
Right.
Now, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man isn't the only one that we could be seeing pop up either in the Sony universe or the MCU. In fact, this Spider-Man that I'm about to talk about is most likely going to appear in the MCU, and that is Miles Morales. I feel like Marvel and Sony are slowly prepping us to receive Miles Morales in the MCU. I think they started this with Into the Spider-Verse, and now we are getting Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 and then Part 2. Not to mention, we have actually seen Prowler, the uncle of Miles Morales, in the MCU in Spider-Man Homecoming, where he confirmed that he does indeed have a nephew that exists in the MCU, who of course is Miles. And then, the big Miles Easter egg in Spider-Man No Way Home, where Andrew Garfield takes off his mask and talks to Electro, and Electro tells him, "I thought you were gonna be black." Andrew then apologizes, but then Jamie Foxx's Electro says, "There's gotta be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere," which is obviously a huge Miles tease, since we are talking about a movie that involves the multiverse here, and different Spider-Man variants, even though Miles isn't a variant of Peter Parker. So it seems like the groundwork is kind of being laid out here, and if they want Tom Holland's Peter Parker to mentor Miles Morales, and then eventually Miles take over the role of Spider-Man in the MCU, that could be worked into the new deal that Tom Holland could possibly be getting. In his next trilogy, we could see him sort of mentor Miles Morales through Tom Holland's college years and Miles' younger years. This could lead to Miles Morales going on to join the Young Avengers, and this would also give us somewhat of a Tony Stark and Peter Parker relationship like we've had in the past, except this time, Peter Parker is kind of stepping into the role of Tony Stark, where he would mentor Miles Morales. And much like Spider-Man was kind of a junior Avenger at the time until Avengers Infinity War, Miles Morales could actually go on to join the Young Avengers team, which is clearly being set up in the MCU right now. Now, there's probably a little bit of time until we get the actual Young Avengers team, which is good news, because if they're going to introduce Miles in the next Spider-Man film, we probably have a couple or a few years until we get that film.
Who's the Young
Avengers?
Avengers?
I'd really love to see him as a part of the Young Avengers. And I'm really looking forward to Tom Holland's Peter Parker being on his own finally, taking care of himself, and who knows what his adventures are going to get into, but I cannot wait to see what happens. And I can't wait to see what Marvel and Sony have in plan for us in regards to a Spider-Man movie, Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man 3, more Tom Holland movies, and of course the introduction of Miles Morales. A lot to look forward to. Hopefully some of this, if not all of this, happens, because we will be very excited and happy fans. And let me know what you would be most excited about in the comments down below. I think for me it would be the Spider-Man movie, just to see the three Spider-Men back on screen together again. So be sure to let me know what yours would be. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. And for live updates, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
I'll tell you this. That seems like a really fucking good idea. That they do 3 more Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and they have a Spider-Man at the end as like their Endgame or Infinity War type of thing. But at the same time, you got the Amazing Spider-Man 3. I'm still pushing for another Tobey movie. I want another Tobey movie. I do. You know what I'm saying? If y'all wanted to kill off Tobey's, which I don't prefer, but if you want to kill off Tobey's and Miles take over for him, then the Spider-Man movie would be Tom, Andrew, and whoever's going to play Miles, which is an interesting way to go too. So, woo! I'm excited. I'm an excited Spider-Man fan. Thank you for the news, Cosmic Wonder. Get over there and subscribe to Cosmic Wonder. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you. If you enjoy my reaction to this news, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share.